Good day,
Dandavat sir.
good afternoon,
Good
namaste,
afternoon.
sat sri akal. Tell me. Good evening.
We would like to thank you for taking time out
Mm,
and apologies. We have a smaller crowd here in
Very good.
comparison.
Mm, That's good. And I also don't have much time. See, I have not even time to shave. So there you go. Um, so the topic today that has been handed over to me is yoga beyond asanas. Right. Now the idea is to make it known to most people. You may be knowing, but some may not be knowing that yoga is not just standing on your head uh, and shaking your legs in the air. Yoga is also not simply only the practice of pranayama, but yoga is much more than that, although this is included in Ashtanga Yoga. So, this is the topic. This is kind of the topic which I talked about 4 years ago in a discussion in the headquarters of the United Nations in Geneva, Yoga Beyond Asanas. Because there is the popular belief that now yoga has become very popular. I must also say that it is partly due to the Prime Minister that this Yoga Day has been celebrated throughout the world and so on. He gave an impetus to the United Nations to do it, and they agreed. That's a different matter. Whatever it is, it has become kind of a popular idea because of the Yoga Day and everybody practicing yoga. And when they say yoga, they usually gather in one place and do asanas. So while it is good for health, I'm not denying that. It's good for health. It's good for physical health and also mind health because pranayams kind of cools down the system and makes it quieter and so on. But yoga is not just that. Yoga is much more. For the simple reason that in the old Upanishads, which is the older sources we have, there are a set of Upanishads called the Yoga Upanishad. While in some a reference is made to asanas, which is physical posture, much is discussed beyond asana. How? Let me first say this before going into that subject, which is technical. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, every chapter is called a yoga. Starting with the first chapter, which is the yoga of Arjuna's sorrow. Right? Now, in that whole chapter, is there any pranayam? Is there any yoga asanas? Nothing. The discussion on Arjuna's sorrow and how to overcome it. In the next chapter, of course. So, yoga here means to move into actual cause behind all the emotions and everything that we feel in this world. In fact, if you go a little deeper, you'll realize that the world you see is basically a projection of our minds. Because you see, for instance, that if there are two people sitting in the same place and in front of them one object is given, one will love it, one will hate it, one will be neutral, and one may even run away from it. An artist will appreciate the beauty of the object. A neutral person will just look at it and say, okay, nice, and go on. A philosophical person will try to discover why does it look like this and so on. Or why do we like it? Why do we don't like it? And there may be one kind of person who is becoming a sannyasin who will run away immediately seeing it, saying, I don't want this. See, the object is one. Reactions are different. So yoga, here in Arjuna's case, we are looking at a person who is disgusted with what he's about to do, who's trying to free his mind from these thoughts of pain, who is in sorrow and indecision and doesn't want to do it. The rest of the 17 chapters of the Gita are Krishna's attempt to look into the mind of Arjuna or to make Arjuna look into his own mind, clear all the blockages and make it open, ultimately, one to act, the other to ultimately discover the inner essence of his being. This is the teaching of the Gita. Not only to discover the inner essence of his being, but also to act. So some people might say, oh, I have discovered the essence of my being. So I'm sitting in the car shed, I don't want to do anything. Krishna says, walk, move, do. So yoga is like that, a very universal message. The misunderstanding has come into the picture mainly because when we say yoga, we talk about Ashtanga Yoga, which is Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, and not other things. Now, one good thing like Bhakti Yoga, yoga of devotion, Jnana Yoga, the yoga of wisdom or intellect, understanding, Jnana, that means wisdom, yoga of karma, hard work, working towards a goal, especially an unselfish goal, and so on, cannot be measured. These things happen in the mind, you cannot even define it. But the importance and the reason why people hold on to a practice like Ashtanga Yoga is because the changes are measurable or at least evident. Uh, so, therefore, Patanjali's yoga is called Ashtanga Yoga. There nowhere in the Yoga Sutras Patanjali refers to it as Ashtanga Yoga. Popular name which has come because it has 8 angas, means 8 parts, and therefore people say Ashtanga Yoga. In fact, Patanjali calls it Kriya Yoga. Do you know? So therefore, this is another thing. When you say I am a practitioner of Kriya Yoga, simply because you sit down every day and do the Kriya Pranayama, you are not a Kriya Yoga. So what is Kriya Yoga, which comes in the second chapter of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali? What is this definition? Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwara Pranidhana, Kriya Yoga. This is how he stated. Opening chapter on sadhana or practice. So here, yoga has been brought into a systematic practice consisting of tapasya. Now, tapasya meaning a person who practices yoga should be ready to change his habits, which even if he enjoyed it, into something that is less enjoyable, maybe for the time being. And therefore, it is a tapasya. You're renouncing, you're giving up. The whole idea of people becoming renunciants, sannyasins, monks, nuns, is because they want to give up what normally is very pleasant, but may not be good. In the Kathopanishad, the discussion with Yama, the Lord of Death, and Nachiketas, is about Shreyas and Prayas. That which is good and that which is pleasant. What is pleasant may not be good. May not be. Sometimes may be. May not be good. And what is good may not always be pleasant. Therefore, when you say tapasya, it means I hold on to the good in the sense what is good for your progress. That is what good here means. No matter how unpalatable it is for the time being. Uh, in Malayalam, we have a saying, Mutavar sollum mudunellikya Mumbai kaikum pinne madarikum. Means you know the amla. Amla, when you eat it raw, it's quite bitter. Then afterwards, when you drink water, it becomes sweet. So that bitterness, if you are ready to face, this is tapasya. Now, tapasya comes from the word tapas, which means generating heat. Tapa is heat, which means a person who performs tapasya is generating inner heat because he's fighting temptations and therefore producing inner heat. Therefore, it is turned into tapasya. Need not be that you stand on one leg in the river up to the neck and this in the Kali Yuga all this does not work. You stand in the river, the water will take you away. That's all. Hmm? Um, I know somebody who went into the water to learn how to remove poison from something like that. So he stood in the river like this, up to his neck. He was a lawyer, a judge, retired judge called Mukandi Iyer, very funny name. Stood like this in the Tamraparni river in Tirunelveli. On the other side was a temple. So the priests came to wash the vessels and they saw Mukandi Iyer in the water. Hands are up. They thought he's drowning. So they rushed in and so when he saw them coming, he did like this. When he don't come, they thought he's drowning and, kind of. So they pulled him out. That was the end of his tapasya. So nowadays, all that tapasya doesn't work. So this is the meaning of tapasya. To generate heat by resisting something which you would normally be attracted to. Tapasya. Okay. Tapasya, then Swadhyaya. Tapas Swadhyaya. Now, Swadhyaya has two meanings. One is to study the scriptures and the textbooks relating to your yogic journey or philosophical journey intently by yourself. This is Swadhyaya. Swa, Adhyaya, self study. Something which is completely neglected in many systems of education today. Everything is told by the teacher. It has to be put into the brain and kept. Self thinking is not there. So Swadhyaya is self study. Swadhyaya also means Swa Adhyaya, which means studying your own self. This is the last thing anybody wants to do. Because if you study your own self, you will come up with ugly things coming out. So who wants to study your own self? So you cover it by saying, no, 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 my Atman is pure, my supreme being, and so on. You look, it's like a septic tank inside. Swadhyaya, self-study. Okay. Now, Ishwara Pranidhana. Anani means also, including. Ishwara Pranidhana means, yoga derives much of its terminology from Sankhya. Sankhya does not believe in the term Ishvara as we think Ishvara, God. It has a different idea about Ishvara. A person who realizes Kaivalya becomes Ishvara in Sankhya. However, yoga slightly differs from that. It still admits the existence of an Ishvara, who is the primeval wisdom crystallized into a being. So, after that, what you do is to meditate upon that Ishvara and surrender your faults and also your virtues to that Ishvara. When this happens, it becomes Kriya Yoga, not simply the technique of Kriya Yoga. So, then we move to why yoga is called Ashtanga Yoga, especially Patanjali's yoga. It's called Ashtanga Yoga because it has 8 parts. You know that. Yama, Niyama, rules, regulations. Asana, postures. Now, this is where. What I'm trying to say is we are stuck on those asanas. We don't look behind or in front. So, Yama Niyama is very important. First two steps, then asana, then pranayama, then pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. These are the eight. Actually, it should be called seven because samadhi is it's a culmination. It's not a part. Anyway, it's normally referred to. Now, starting with Yama Niyama, Yama Niyamas are rules and regulations to get you to control your mind, which runs in all directions. So it starts with, can we simplify our existence on this earth? Can we be non-violent, even regarding food? Can we subsist on this earth without killing animals or causing injury to other human beings? Soon, for instance, in the future, I think most of the wars are going to be water wars because there's a universal shortage of water. Now there will be, when there is a war, there is violence. What Patanjali is trying to say, avoid this violence. You don't have water in Karnataka because Kaveri is not being opened in Tamil Nadu. Don't go and burn buses. Try to work out a system, how to go about it. So these are the Yamas and Niyamas, simple things. How to lead a life of control. How not to indulge yourself endlessly, not worrying about the problems of other living beings. If you put it in a nutshell, this is what it means. It also means not to get too caught up in things of the world because then your mind is always stuck there. You cannot raise it out of it and be required to raise it out of it. And, uh, and so on. I mean, the usual rules and regulations which are given in most religious texts is also there in yoga. Don't cause injury to others. Don't cause harm to others. I mean, it's carrying a bit too far to say, bless them that curse you. Maybe only Jesus practiced. After that, nobody did. Uh, Easy to say, but it's difficult to practice. There might be very rare individuals who can, but try your best. Hmm? So these are the some ground. You can read the rest. You know it, of course. Then after Yama Niyama comes our important thing, which is asana, which is what everybody is doing. Now, nowadays, asanas are done only for physical health. Or if you have a pain in the knee, the physiotherapist says, try this asana. Mm. Asana is not just that. This is what I'm trying to say. Asana, all the asanas are somehow connected to your muscles, not only to your muscles, which all physical exercise is connected to, but also to your endocrine system. Your endocrine system, starting with all the ductless glands, starting from the pituitary onwards down, are the glands that really control your life. The pituitary gland sends out certain endocrines which have an effect on your height, on your thinking, and various factors. After that, there is a pineal gland which sends out some of the endocrines into your bloodstream and through that into your brain, and therefore certain things happen. The master gland is the pituitary. If it ceases to function, you can be in danger. But you can hardly see it because it's safely hidden in a very hard shell inside so that nobody can go and poke it so easily. God knows who hid it there, but whoever. Mhm. And suppose I say, now I'm feeling so peaceful, blissful in meditation. From the point of view of the yogi, which the present day scientists will also agree, which means your bloodstream now has a little more of serotonin. And if you see more visions, beautiful visions, you also have some dopamine in your bloodstream. Now, this happens automatically, normally, but the yogi knows how to control it. So, even though moods are most largely chemical, the yogi knows ways and means by which he can control these moods, which is why yoga asanas are practiced not only for physical health. Physical health, yes. Now, please remember that the basic principle of the yogasana is any yogasana is that you tense your muscle and then you relax it and energy flows in. If you don't tense it and then relax it, no energy flows into it. If you keep tensing it and not relaxing it, no energy flow. Energy flow is blocked. Tense and relax. It is the same with the mind. If you have no tension, no sorrow, no trouble, when real happiness comes, you won't recognize it. Or if you are always in a kind of high state of serotonin, you will not realize what sorrow is, chemical process. You should know both. If you know this, you know this. If you know this, you know this. Now, the yogasana specifically control the flow of these hormones into your body. Because the yogi has studied his anatomy very well and knows which glands are where and how it should function and how to block or to let it go. This is the importance of asanas, bandhas, and mudras. All three. In fact, there is a Nath textbook called Amaroga. Gorakshanath is supposed to be the author, we don't know. Many people have written under that name. Where the entire interest given, entire attention is given on Mahamudra, nothing else. Mostly Mahamudra. Why? Because it shows how Mahamudra balances your hormones and brings them to a state of pure bliss, where you enter into a state where your body has enough serotonin, some levels of balanced dopamine, and then you begin to enjoy, and then you go deeper and deeper within. Nobody will want to go deeper if there is no enjoyment there, because we are all enjoyment-loving beings. And as you go, then you hit upon something which is beyond grief and enjoyment, both. But the enjoyment is the thing that attracts you inside. To give you an example, if you are a person who is always angry, it's because you have more of adrenaline being pumped into your system, and probably more frequently than your neighbor. Which is why when his trees grows into your compound and one fruit falls on your car, you want to burn his tree down because you have more adrenaline, that guy has less. Now, how do we handle this? In yoga, we say first, we should decide that I don't want to get angry because nothing works. Because if you burn his tree, he will burn your car. It's an endless process. Practically, I don't want to do this. First, resolution. Resolve that I will not. Second, a method by which I can control my pumping of adrenaline into my system. And Matsyasana, regularly practiced, is a sure shot. Because it can, Matsyasana, if you can ask any of the others who are here who practice asanas, the word Matsyasana means like a fish. You look like a fish right now. And there are other pranayams, anulom, vilom, etc., that balance your breath, because yoga believes that the prana that functions inside your system can be controlled and used as and when and where you like to use. That is the whole science of pranayama. And breathing The rate of breathing has a deep connection to your state of mind. When you're breathing very, very softly and slowly, your mind is also quiet and peaceful. When you're agitated, you're breathing very hard. Same thing happens the reverse. If you breathe very hard for a long time, you're agitated. Now, in one pranayam called Bhastrika, we breathe very fast. Why do we do that? So that in that full speed, and then you become silent. Then the mind realizes the effect of silence. Not before that, because before that it has not understood what is not silence. It was only agitation. So therefore, these are the methods. So there is yoga. Yoga is not only asanas, it is beyond asanas. It deals with your moods, it deals with your chemical composition of your body. It can change the chemical composition of your body through the practice of pranayama and meditation, and so on and so forth. So this is what I mean by yoga beyond asanas. Now, when I say that, please also remember that it includes all the other yogas discussed in the Gita. Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Purushottama Yoga, uh, Jnana Yoga, Abhyasa Yoga, Sannyasa Yoga in the end, and so on. So let's start on this frame of yoga beyond asanas. As you delve into it deeper and deeper, you would come out with uh, different ideas about this. The most important thing in yoga is Nairantarya Abhyasa, regular practice, is essential. Now, if you ask me, is asana not yoga? Yes, asana is also yoga, but not only yoga. I also practice asana every day. And I think part of my health is because of that. So, now we have half an hour. I would ask any one of you who have any doubts on this subject, which we discussed just now. Subject is wide. Yoga. What we discussed just now, to have a dialogue. Invite you. Okay. Thank you. Tell me.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule and giving us this.
My job.
And
Mm.
so, if anybody has a question, either you can type in the chat or you can raise hands and we can invite.
प्रणाम। सर, मेरा प्रश्न ये था, आपने बताया कि यम और नियम जो है आसन से पहले बताए गए हैं,
बिल्कुल।
तो क्या क्यों जरूरी है यम और नियम को आसन से पहले ही करना? क्या यम और नियम की सिद्धि के बिना आसन पूर्ण नहीं हो सकता, या आसन को शुरू ही नहीं करना चाहिए?
नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। वो क्या है कि हिंदी में बोले, आप हिंदी में पूछ रहे हैं तो मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ। हाँ,
जी सर।
तो इसलिए मैंने कहा, इसका कारण यह है कि अगर आप यम नियम पूरा परिपालन कर सकते हो, तो फिर योगा आसना कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। ऑलरेडी आप फ्री हैं, मोक्षित हैं। हाँ, उसमें कुछ दूसरा कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। हो गया नॉर्मल। मगर क्या होता है कि बहुत सारे लोग, 99% कहूँ, यम नियम नहीं परिपालन कर सकते हैं, उसमें इम्परफेक्शंस होते हैं। तो इसलिए करना शुरू करना चाहिए। अगर आप इसको परफेक्ट करने के बाद योगासन करने लगोगे तो होगा ही नहीं। ये 2-3 जन्म चलते रहेंगे और हम यम नियम का परफेक्शन देखते रहेंगे, नहीं होगा। तो मेरा कहना यह है, आप मिसअंडरस्टैंड नहीं करें, कि मेरा कहना यह है कि जब यम नियम हम परिपालन करना शुरू करते हैं अभ्यास करना शुरू करते हैं, उसके साथ ही साथ आप योग के दूसरे अंग भी अभ्यास करना शुरू कर सकते हैं। धीरे धीरे बैलेंस हो जाए। ये नहीं कि सब करके परफेक्ट होने के बाद आप योग, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। आप दोनों को शुरू कीजिए, मगर मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि आसन आप करते रहेंगे, प्राणायाम आप करते रहेंगे, और यम नियम में थोड़ा भी अटेंशन नहीं देंगे तो ये ठीक नहीं। बस इतना ही है।
जी सर, तो क्या यम और नियम की सिद्धि हो सकती है? मतलब कब तक हो सकती है? अब समाधि की अवस्था पे जाने पे ही होगी या पहले ही हो सकती है?
जब समाधि की अवस्था हो जाएगी तब तो यम नियम की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, सब खत्म। मगर तब तक यम नियम का परिपालन करना ही होगा। धीरे धीरे, थोड़ा थोड़ा, पूरा मत कीजिए। इस योग में दूसरी एक चीज है कि इसमें ना ज्यादा कम होना चाहिए ना ज्यादा होना चाहिए। मतलब गीता में भगवान अर्जुन को कहते हैं कि ये योग जो तुम कर रहे हो, ये उसके लिए नहीं है जो ज्यादा सोता है, और उसके लिए भी नहीं है जो सोता ही नहीं है, और उसके लिए भी नहीं है जो बहुत खाता है, और उसके लिए भी नहीं है जो खाता ही नहीं है। तो मतलब मॉडरेशन की है इसका की मॉडरेशन है। तो आप यम नियम, अब देखिए, आपको लगा कि कोका कोला अच्छा नहीं है शरीर के लिए, और आप सोचें कि मैं अभी योगी बनने जा रहा हूं, यम नियम का पालन करना है, तो मैं कोक पीना बंद कर दूंगा। 2 दिन बंद करोगे, फिर इस तीसरे दिन फिर भी वो, आपको क्या होगा, ये एक, एक तरह का आग्रह होगा कि फिर हम कोका कोला पी लें। तो पहले उसका मेन प्रॉब्लम क्या है इसको समझिए, उसके बाद छोड़िए। अब कोका कोला से भी बड़ा एंजॉयबल चीज है भजन कीर्तन। अगर आप उसमें एकदम इमर्स हो जाओगे तो कोक अपने आप छुड़ जाएगा। ये मेरे कहने का मतलब। तो एक्सट्रीम में नहीं ले जाना है, धीरे धीरे कर। आई होप
थैंक यू सर।
समझ गए होंगे क्या क्या। हम्म।
Pranam, Guruji. I want to know what are the steps towards tapasya, how actually we can avoid desires.
You know, the steps towards tapasya simply means that try to curtail something that compulsively takes you towards something. I'm giving a general idea about it, which you think is not amenable or suitable to your spiritual practice. Suppose I'm a spiritual practitioner. Now let me clear one example. I'm a spiritual practitioner. I want to keep my brain clear and not get it kind of confused by the effects of external chemicals or external substances. So suppose I was in the habit of taking external substances, then when I start controlling that and saying I will not do it, or I will try my best to slowly wean myself away, tapasya is the beginning. This is tapasya, which means you may really be enjoying it, but you are ready to give it up because you are looking for something greater, not this little paltry enjoyments. So when you put your foot down and say, now, I will not enjoy it, I will try to stop myself from going into it. Why? Because I have a much more important thing to do and not get caught up in this, not befuddle my brain with chemicals and so on. That is the beginning of tapasya. Now, in ordinary life, you can kind of say that I find I'm very fond of sugar, suppose, jalebi, and I have diabetes. And the doctor is saying, you cannot eat sugar. But I indulge because my tongue takes me towards it. The moment I start controlling and say, I will not have it, It's also tapasya. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Ashok.
Pranam Guruji, I want to ask you, like, how one might elevate their pain from suffering of whatever it might be, even though it's might be mental suffering. And like Raja Yoga scriptures, they talk about two things on how to elevate the pain, which is basically concentration and also like detachment from everything. But even when I meditate and like try to put it in real practice, how does it work? Am I missing some steps? I just wanted to know that.
Very simple. You cannot be free of sorrow unless and until you have some joy which you can enjoy. See, freedom from sorrow means what? Freedom from sorrow means enjoy, to have joy. When you have joy, you don't have sorrow anymore. Now, the yogis and the Vedantins and the ancient teachers say that joy is nothing to do with what you get and what you not get. It is nothing to do with your life's plus and minus. That your true essence, when you go deep within and look, it is full of joy. It is the essence of joy. The moment you begin to tune yourself with that, then you are slowly beginning to free yourself from sorrow. Otherwise, to try to fight sorrow is a very sorry affair. It's not at all easy. But if but if you know that deep inside there is an essence which is in yourself, it is not far away. People think it is far away. The Upanishads say tad dure tadvat antike, it's also near to you. So inside you, in the true essence of your being, there is what Vedantins call Satchidananda. The Upanishads call Satchidananda, which means the truth, the blissfulness, and consciousness. When you begin even theoretically to think about this and go deep into this and try to go, then at the essence, at the end, when you touch it, then slowly sorrow vanishes. Otherwise, there is no medicine for sorrow.
Thank you,
This
Guruji.
is what you should realize. And it is not far away. You know
Yes.
the famous Kabir song, Muko kahan dhoonde re bande, main to tere saath hoon. It's right there inside us. Somebody said, nearer to you than your own neck vein.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Namaskar.
Bhagyashree.
So, yeah. Uh, so my question is, like I've been practicing mindfulness from last 2 years,
Nice.
very dedicatedly in the morning. But I have two questions. A, will that be a part of the yoga because it's also meditativeness, but at the
Yes.
same time, I'm also giving some relaxation to my mind. But
Mm-hmm.
even after practicing 2 years, I still like I did control a lot of my chatterbox. But I still have a lot of my chatterbox still functioning in my mind. So, what would you suggest? Like, should I like just continue and wait with patiently, and maybe it will go?
I
And
think,
how is it about?
sorry. See, the main thing is that your intention should be straight. Your intention must be strong that I want to get rid of this chatter. Important. If that is strong, and if you continue even with a technique like Vipassana, it probably will work, but it will require a lot of practice. You know, the habit of thinking and the habit of being agitated by thought is not just in this birth, according to us. It has come to us from various births. So, in one birth, it is very, very difficult to get rid of it. So, you must have patience. There is no way out. Be patient. And even Vipassana is a wonderful practice. In fact, Vipassana is the only practice that the Buddha taught. There is no other practice in the, I mean, I'm talking about the Buddhism, which is called the Sutrayana. The Mahayana and the Vajrayana have many practices which have been
Yes,
borrowed
yes.
from the Tantra. But I'm talking about the Diamond Sutra and its teachings. Now, while you practice Vipassana, which is awareness, basically Vipassana means to be aware of not only your breath, but also everything that's happening in your body. When you fix your attention there, you're freeing your mind from the other things that disturb your mind. And slowly you realize that in this there is so much happiness, so why should I bother about other things? This is what happens. Slowly, 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 that you go to the core of your being where there is calmness. Now, this core of your being has been calm even for many births. So you go break into that one day. Nobody can dictate when you will do that. But therefore, patience is of great importance. If you are impatient, any kind of meditation will not work because it's not what you call a quick fix. It takes time. You need to look into it carefully and do what you can do. When you say samadhi, it means samadhi. Dhi, the word dhi means your intelligence, your thought, your think. It's all dhi. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. May my intelligence be stimulated. Gayatri. So the person whose intelligence has been stimulated through the practice of Gayatri or some other practice, that person becomes so intelligent and clear thinking and so sharp that he very soon discovers the limitations of his intellect, not others. It's like if a dumb person goes to a hypnotist, he cannot hypnotize. Why? Because when he says, now you're feeling tired, he says, no, I'm not feeling tired. There's no imagination. So he soon realizes the limitations of the intellect. So if the intellect cannot solve the problem, how do I solve it? That is the question. Then he discovers that there are practices given to us from ancient times which help us to be free from what we normally call intelligence. What we normally call intelligence, which means 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, and so on. They have normal intelligence. So he goes from arithmetic intelligence to quantum intelligence, where he realizes that everything is uncertain and nobody knows exactly what it is. So then the mind becomes unconditioned. The mind becomes unconditioned means the mind, which is normally all the time running around like a rogue, becomes quiet. Now, samadhi is a big term because it means many kinds of states. To begin with, samadhi is ordinary samadhi, which is called savikalpa samadhi, where the mind is free of immediate thoughts for some time. It may be short, it may be long. It's a trance state, it's not a waking state. It's a state different from waking, dream, and deep sleep. You may call it the beginning of Turiya, not the entire one. Once Turiya, there is nothing more to do. This is Savikalpa Samadhi, which means the mind is calm for the time being, but the seeds of thought are still there inside. Vikalpas are still there, but they are hidden for the time being. Through regularly entering into this samadhi, I'm generally not using the word practicing the samadhi because samadhi is not practiced. One enters into it through other practices. That is why I said it's a culmination. Everything else is an effort. This is total effortlessness. When one enters into that, which is called samadhi, gradually, as one begins to enjoy it and go deeper and deeper, the state comes when even the seeds of thought which bring about agitation, vanish. When this happens, it is called nirvikalpa samadhi. Okay. Now, even then, it's a trance, not ordinary waking state or dream state. A time comes when it goes so deep that one touches the core of one's being. From that point, there is no going in or coming out. Even when you are normally sitting and talking, you are still in some samadhi. Now, this is called sahaja samadhi. Sahaj doesn't mean easy samadhi. It means that state where even in normal times, even though you are functioning, deep down your mind is still in that state. Believe me, that doesn't mean that you will be living in a dream world, like tottering around because you are in samadhi. No. In fact, it makes you more efficient, even in your day-to-day work. But when you sit down, you're deep inside. Which is why I said it's a culmination, not one of the angas of practice. That's why I said.
So I had a question, and I don't know if it's regarding this yoga and all. So because I've been into philosophy for a while, and so the thing is, I understood. I have heard some. I don't know which actually which quote it was, but it was from Kabir, and it was something about crying about the state we have of the world, like the sorry state of the world. And so there was that, and somewhere else I read that J. Krishnamurti sir said something about the sensitivity of a human being. So they said, in the way I understood it, it was something about you have to be very extremely sensitive about the world and
Extremely?
sensitive about the state of
Aha,
the world. If you cry
right.
about it, it's something that kind of makes you more moral. But then on
Yeah.
the other hand, when it comes to meditation and all, it's about being calm and not feeling joy or sadness. So this is somewhere where I'm used to, like, I kind of get confused, like which should be the right way to be, or is it something that you switch between these two states?
Okay, now, when Kabir said that this is do din ka mela, this world, hmm, is a 2 day affair, drama,
Yeah.
that you need to look at something permanent, and this is so temporary. And when Krishnamurti said you should be sensitive to the world, I don't know what sentence he said, which you're using now, I don't know. But when he said you should be sensitive, if it was Krishnamurti who said this, since I know him, used to know him quite well, I think what he meant was it is not enough to say, I'm going to find joy, this world is full of sorrow, but also see the sorrow in the world.
Yeah.
Be sensitive enough to see that I am not the only one who is in sorrow. Every human being is in some kind of sorrow or other. When you see that, you realize the universal wideness of this thing called sorrow. When you see it, then you urgently want to get out of it. Unless there is this urgency, you cannot get out. It is like facing a cobra with its hood drawn. You want to get out, but you don't want to make an abrupt movement because that is enough for the cobra to strike you. It's there and you're watching and you know it is dangerous. You want to come out, but you have to be very, very careful how you do it. So this is probably what Krishnamurti said because I know that one of his important things was the urgency of change. He said change has to be urgent. If I say, now I'll do like this, but after 10 years, then I will change. Change will never happen. Urgency, change now. If you need to change, you have to change now. And if you change now, you'll have to suffer various other factors. That suffering is called tapasya. So probably this is what they meant.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Can we take one more question?
Yes, please. 5 minutes more.
So,
Hmm.
sure.
Pranam, sir. I wanted to know about practicing Yam Niyam at the level of thought. You talked about it a few times, I think, earlier. So, when a thought manifests, it's already there. So, and I don't seem to have a control over it. So, when a
Right.
malignant thought comes, what do I do? How do I go about
The
it?
only thing you can kind of have control over is not the thought, but but through practice, you should be able to see it the moment it arises. That you can find. You can through practice discover.
Hmm.
You cannot control it when it comes, but at least through practice you can discover. You learn how to watch it or catch it the moment it raises its head. If you have done that, then you will be able to tackle it.
So,
If it,
sometimes like that.
yeah, tell me.
Sometimes I'm able to, but not all the times, especially
So,
when it's repetitive and overwhelming, I guess.
so slowly one has to work on this. It's not do din ka mela. Even this, we need to work on it carefully. Look, how much attention we put into other research, right? In worldly ways like science, we put lot of attention into that. In the same way, please understand that you are experimenting with yourself. Now, a chemical, for instance, you know what you are mixing and what will be the result. Here, the mixing is so varied that you don't know what the result is. Because there are so many things coming, so many impulses, so many desires. So therefore, it will take time. You need to work on it carefully, slowly. But I'm telling you that the practice of catching your thought as soon as it arises, not easy, solves the problem. Then it's clipped in the bud. So this next time also we want to continue with yoga beyond asanas.
Sir, you decide, sir.
We can do that. I will take up one part of yoga and then go into it a little deeper.
Sir.
Yes, we can do that. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.